Ladies and gentlemen, I am Israel, the game is World of Warships. Welcome to Tierra del Fuego, the land of fire. We are riding today with Eclaire in the Tier 10 British light cruiser HMS Minotaur. Not the historical Minotaur, by the way, that was one of the Swiftsure class cruisers. They were a development of the Crown Colony class, the Tier 7 Fijis, and basically they lost the Y position turret, so they only had 9 guns, but they packed an extra 4-inch turret for heavier anti-air and a little bit of secondary firepower, and they also were one of the first British cruisers to mount the Type, I think it was the Type 274 lock and follow radar. So in game, if Wargaming was so minded, well, Tier 7 Premium, probably having the option to trade out either the smoke launcher or the hydroacoustic search for surface search radar, and maybe adding the defensive fire consumable in as well, just to give them a bit more bite against aircraft. Worth considering at least. For today, however, our concern is this game, and, well, it's going pretty much as standard. The Ogni Voy is pushing into point A, the Kagura in point B, they've both got good stealth, but over at point C things have gone a little bit pear-shaped already. Portside Potts is making his way up, but the enemy have already got it more than a quarter capped, which means that there has got to be an Ogni Voy in there. That's the only thing the enemy have got that could outrun a Fletcher. And there's the contact with the Ogni Voy. We've also picked up contact with a Neptune. Eclaire had been pushing up to provide direct fire support, maybe work round a flank, but with the Neptune in view, he's changed his mind, and he is in fact just digging in to provide a little indirect support over the hills, and, well, not so very far away. We've just picked up another contact there, third enemy destroyer. The gearing number 2, by the way, is the second Ogni Voy over in point A, blocking the Ogni Voy. Friendly Kagura is getting a cap on in point B, but he's been picked up by air, so his position is not brilliant either. And multiple surface contacts, gearing targeted Mad Marine, one slowing for smoke, so Eclaire adjusts his point of aim, gets one salvo out, gets a second out just as he loses contact, fires a third at the last known point of contact because the gearing can't have accelerated that fast, and a fourth for luck, but has to settle for 5 hits. Portside's been forced out of the cap circle, turning back, but oh boy, torpedoes, turn. Oh dear, the stereo was clearly not loud enough this morning. So that leaves Eclaire and the friendly Hoverosk against, let's see, that's a Charles Martel, a Gearing, an Ogni Voy, and a Neptune. Okay, we're not going to be pushing into that control point anytime soon. Settle back, maybe the enemy will get overconfident. Maybe they'll come round the corner and smack into 8 torpedoes. There's the Neptune, he's backing off. No real contact, however, didn't quite lose line of sight there, but yeah, couple of glancing hits. Ooh, Charlie is thinking about it, but he puts his catapult fighter up. The Hillbilly Hydro detects Eclaire, and there we go. Charlie is turning. He's thought better of it as well. That torpedo caution, by the way, is from the Hoverosk. Hoverosk, of course, good destroyer, but not great at pushing caps at close range, where it can't really use its speed and evasion to best effect. And ouch! That is the Minotaur's fire coming in. Time to get moving before he sends any more salvos. Hydro's up, so Eclaire now knows exactly where the Ogni Voy of Kulsbank and the Charles Martel of Wadaugr are. Now, you may wish to cover the eyes of any small children that are about to watch this, because this is cruelty to underage boats. The Ogni Voy is coming around the corner. He knows, of course, that the Minotaur is there. He's hoping he can get some torpedoes away and break away before the inevitable. Unfortunately, he's not going to manage to break away, and, well, Minotaur's guns are notoriously quick, and that fast-fused British AP melts destroyers as effectively as any high-X round. And then Charlie gets in on the act as well. It takes a couple of Citadels midships. Bit of a surprise, that, actually, but he's not taking as much damage as you'd expect, despite being flat broadside at 4,000 metres. That's because Charlie, of course, has spaced armour. A lot of Eclaire's rounds are detonating in the gap between the outer and inner plating. He's dodged the Ogni Voy's torpedoes, breaking away into the smoke, and safely concealed, and Charlie now has nothing to aim at. Of course, Eclaire very definitely does have something to aim at, and au revoir, monsieur. Perhaps if you had spent more time thinking about your ammunition selection and not about food that actually tastes of something, you would have had AP in the breach when you came round that corner, and this would have been a very different outcome. As it is, Eclaire is still standing, and well, it's down to the Neptune and possibly the gearing. We last saw the gearing legging it west, out towards point B to support his mates over there. Probably figured that, hey, it's just one light cruiser at point C and one destroyer, what could possibly go wrong? Well, the answer is basically that. Eclaire's taking advantage of the smoke and the range to get some shots in on the Neptune. Torpedoes away, anticipates the Neptune turning into angle towards him. The Hoverosk, unsurprisingly, is legging it, but the Yamato's coming round the corner. Neptune's popped his smoke, and after a few speculative broadsides onto the last known position, well, he's still getting hits, but there we go, he's lost contact, and well, a couple more glances. It's time to move out. There's only 30 seconds or so left on the smoke anyway, and we do kinda need to stop the rot. After all, right now the enemy has got one control point. They're in the process of capping the second, and Eclaire's team have got the sum total of 0 control points. And they're 100 victory points down, and it's 3 kills each at the moment. Torpedoes, unfortunately, aren't going to hit anything. And the Hoverosk, unsurprisingly, has legged it as fast as his turbines will carry him anyway, so time to get going. Now, he takes a slightly defensive route here. I would have gone straight down the left-hand side of this island and tried to re-engage, but Eclaire is being cautious here. He knows the Neptune's there, he can see the traces coming out. We don't know where the gearing is. Last contact, he was heading west out of Foxtrot 7. We don't know where the enemy Yugamo is. Last we saw of that ship, it was heading east, i.e. towards point C, out of Echo 6. There's the gearing in Echo 5, so we don't need to worry too much about that, but we still don't know where that little Yugamo is, and at close range, those torpedoes, well, he only needs a couple. So his plan is simple. Close up on the Neptune, get a spot for the Yamato, and then depending on how the Neptune is angled, it's either going to be the Yamato or Eclaire that proceeds to beat the Neptune into submission. Hydro up, he's coming up on sensor range. He'll have a slight advantage, except he won't because the Neptune is on the move and he's backed up. We got a brief glimpse there as somebody got a visual angle on him. He's at 6.5 kilometers, that's out of hydro range. Smoke has dispersed, however. Target in sight, main guns open fire. And the Neptune is, well, Sabaton's trying to back round the corner. Unfortunately, Eclaire is angled and Sabaton isn't, so that's 3 quick citadels. It turns out that Sabaton, well, I wouldn't exactly call that the wisest move, but it has at least kept him in the fight for a few more minutes. Now at this point, Mr. HHRS is going to do something just a little bit ballsy. He's going to go round the corner chasing that Neptune. The Neptune, that I remind you, has got, what is it, 6 torpedo tubes? 8 ready to go? This could be interesting. Oh, that's where the Yugamo went. Looks like he was making a run on the carrier. Instead, made a run on a Hoverosk, and then made a run on some torpedoes, and then made a run for the lifeboats. Oh, well, at least we now have him accounted for. That's something. Admiral Berger helping to work off the pink. Right, hydro detection in place. Sabaton has detected both the Yamato and Eclaire. Coming around the corner, no doubt fully intending to resist and bite. But, well, torpedoes in the water, but he knows he's going to die in this manoeuvre. He was probably expecting it to be the Yamato that got the kill, however, but torpedoes away. 8 tracking. 1, 2, 3, 4 hits as HHRS pulls a 402. However, that is still 4 torpedoes missed, and it created enough of a gap that Eclaire was also able to evade away and not take any further damage. Okay, point C secure, which is a little unexpected. Enemy Minotaur 12 kilometers ahead, hooked up in smoke and more interested in shooting at, I'm guessing, the Hoverosk from the angle. There's really nothing else he could be aiming at that range. Which leaves HHRS and Eclaire a couple of minutes to close the range and get into point B. So yay for that. The enemy gearing is legging it, being pursued hard by Admiral Berger, who is apparently quite determined to get rid of that pink paint job he's acquired from somewhere. I can only assume he had an accident with a torpedo. Meanwhile, HHRS and Eclaire are closing in on point B. Unfortunately, well, that friendly Minotaur over to the left, yeah, he isn't going to be there for much longer. Smoke disperses right as Mr. HHRS gets the kill on the enemy Moskva. And, ooh, Hot One's taken at least one big hit. He's on 6,000 health and he's got 2 heavily armed battleships out for blood. Admiral Berger puts down the gearing, but almost at the same moment, Divine puts down the friendly Minotaur. So right now, it is 5 ships to 5. The enemy are 260 victory points up, and they are 2 control points up. Well, 1.5, really. Torpedo hit into the bow from the enemy Minotaur. HHRS just rides it out, manages to dodge the rest. Really surprised, actually, that the enemy Minotaur was not already legging it, because he knew exactly what was coming, but probably figured he could take them. Mutual hydroacoustic detection, and, well, Minotaur on Minotaur. It boils down to who blinks and tries to turn away first, because they're both bow on, neither can overmatch, so it comes down to superstructure damage. Unless there is a Yamato panicking the enemy Minotaur into turning. That's 3 citadels, 5 citadels, 6 citadels, torpedoes in the water, 8 citadels, and, well, that's the kill. And, oh looky, enemy air showed up and ran straight into the Dakafest that is a Minotaur's dual-purpose battery. Astonishingly, those torpedoes were snapshots. They were not in single shot mode, they were in the standard quad launch. So that was, well, I don't think the guy was actually anticipating living long enough to get 8 single shots away, but that pretty much saved both Eclaire and HHRS. Of course, now HHRS is in the Bismarck's no-fun zone, and the Bismarck is right in the middle of Eclaire's no-fun zone as well. Who do we think's going to have the less fun here? Well, he rode a couple of fluke hits now, but the Bismarck has lost contact. Eclaire has not lost contact and is hammering the superstructure with everything he's got. Enemy Ogni Voy, however, has laid smoke in front of the Bismarck, which is one of the reasons he's backing up. There we are, he's broken contact. Eclaire is putting speculative fire along the last line position, bags his Confederate in the process. Admiral Berger puts down the enemy Yamato. As I said, that guy is chasing some serious redemption there. Unfortunately, Eclaire has lost contact and has lost his firing solution, so all he can do is sit tight and wait, hope somebody else reacquires while he's getting this cap done. Of course, sitting still in smoke means torpedo magnet, and good news, he's got the Bismarck. Bad news is that in a few seconds, the enemy Ogni Voy that actually laid that smoke screen, well, he dumped torpedoes about, 30 seconds ago, and yep, here they come. Stand on the power, more power, as the Auctionman so famously yelled. Manages to dodge one, and he was very lucky not to take a second and go down there. But, well, he didn't, so he's still afloat and patching up the worst of the damage, back to 17,000 health. One Ogni Voy, 1 Bismarck, and 1 Midway. And now it's the Midway's bombers' turn to have a go. 14 bombers, 1,000-pound bombs. What could possibly go wrong? Well, he's in a Minotaur's flak zones, so that's the first thing. And the friendly fighters are closing in, so that's the second thing going wrong. And yeah, it's not looking too good. There were 14 bombers, now there are 5. Couple of cheeky shots at the Bismarck, but there's an island in the way. Now there are 4 bombers. Bombs come down. I think that was 1 hit. And then there were 3 legging it back to home base. 2, 1. Are there going to be any survivors? Don't be ridiculous. Credit to Striker XP, by the way, here. He realises that Eclaire is coming round this corner, and he snapshotted his torpedoes out on widespread. Looks like about, again, 20-30 seconds ago. It doesn't actually save him, of course, and the friendly planes overhead spot the torpedoes in plenty of time, so Eclaire just eases off on the power bit, stands on the rudder, and he almost makes the torpedo beat look easy, doesn't he? Okay, this is looking a bit better. They're now 2 control points to 1 up. They are 50 victory points ahead, and the only thing left is the enemy Midway, who's probably in the line for a solo war. I'm sorry, I can't say that with a straight face. He's not got a chance of getting a solo warrior. He's an aircraft carrier, and this is a Minotaur. And there are enemy fighters overhead, but hey, there are friendly fighters as well, and the friendly fighters just got their air superiority, so in go the friendly bombers. How do we think this is going to go for them, trying to take down a tier 10 carrier that has 1, got defensive fire, 2, still got half a fighter squadron left, and 3, we don't actually know where he is. Bombers realise what's going on, they're trying to run it. Really, the carrier driver should have scattered the formation at this point, but he doesn't. So when the strafe comes in, ouch! That was, what, 8, 9 kills? But the Brill Cream boys aren't going to live long enough to celebrate, because there's only 1 of them left, and then there were none. And since we only saw a partial strength squadron to start with, we can safely assume that Wyoming Navy over there is out of fighters. He's also out of map, and probably out of luck as well, because he's, well, slammed into the map border. He's essentially a static target. The Midway kind of doesn't turn very well, so he's not pulling off that map border anytime soon, and even if he was in the mood to try, there's a Dirty Great Island along his intended course, so he is about to run himself hard aground. Oh dear. Now there's one final thing worth noting here. Eclaire is about to hit firing range of the Midway. He's having himself a little more anti-air action along the way, of course, letting those dual-purpose 6-inch guns do their stuff. But watch the way he aims here. You'll see that he is deliberately targeting the Midway's conning tower rather than going for the flight deck. That's because Midway, along with Hakuryu, Taiho, I believe Essex, and the British carriers, if and when we ever get them, have armoured flight decks. He only has armour piercing, so any round that hits the flight deck, which is designed to stop 500 and possibly 1,000-pound bombs, well, let's face it, 6-inch shells are like a gentle summer rain in comparison, so you can actually just watch those rounds go skipping merrily off the deck and doing 0 damage. He is currently running 49 bounces, 6 shatters, and 5 damaging hits. The superstructure, of course, is the only thing that's not proof against his 6-inch guns at this arc, so that's what he's aiming for, and it's really just gun scatter that's wrecking his shots. Doesn't stop him getting a high caliber, but it is going to deny him the 6th kill. And well, that sadly is the only end screen I've got, but what an end screen. Dreadnought, Confederate, high caliber, Kraken, 309 hits a ludicrous amount of damage, a couple of capture points. It's no surprise that he ran up just shy of 4,000 base XP. It was something like 3,700. Oh, and 31 air kills, because a Midway sometimes needs to have the point emphasised. And 19 citadels, because close range to a British light cruiser. Yeah, that's a paddling as well. Ladies and gentlemen, I have been Yuzor. That has been Eclaire in the Tier 10 Minotaur. If you've enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe so I know you do enjoy it and get more. Leave a comment as well. Every little helps, especially with the arcane and old god worshipping mechanic that is YouTube's ranking systems. And until next time, farewell.